Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give it about 1 more minute, and we are going to start at 10:05. And just a reminder that this session is being recorded. You all will be provided a YouTube link by the end of the day today. Steph, we have about 35 on if we want to go ahead and get started.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Welcome everyone. My name is Stephanie Embleman, and I'm the CEO of the Delray Beach Chamber. And those of you know me know that tourism is near and dear to my heart, so I'm always excited to talk about that. We've got a lot of people signed up for the call today, probably about 67, so I think tourism is near and dear to a lot of your hearts. And it shows the importance of tourism to our community. And it also speaks to the caliber of the speakers that we have lined up today. So I'll just tell you quickly what the lineup is going to be, and then we'll get started. So we'll be hearing from our presenting sponsor, Effective, which is a Comcast company. We'll be hearing from Kevin Stipolkowski. Did I get it right? Almost. And they've done a case study with Crane's Beach House to show how advertising with them can make you more effective. We'll also hear from Sergio Piedra and Gustav Weibull from Discover the Palm Beaches. We'll be hearing from Dr. Peter Ricci of the FAU College of Hospitality and Tourism Management. We are happy to have Jodi here from FRLA, that's the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. And we had to have our emergency manager from the city of Delray Beach, Chris Bell, here so he can help make sense of the phase 3 opening and what are the current mandates and what it means from city, county, and state level. He's an expert on that. So I'm happy that he's going to be here because it's been a bit of a confusing time for everyone. I'm going to turn it over to Tiffany Mazer. She's my marketing. Over to you, Tiff.
Good morning, everyone. Just a few housekeeping rules. Please keep yourself on mute. Thank you to our sponsors, Effective, of this Tourism Roundtable. We'll have our chamber announcements at the end, but I am going to hand this right over to Kevin, who has a presentation for you all. You're muted.
Hey, thanks, Tiffany. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kevin Stipolkowski. I'm an account executive at Effective. If you've attended some of the previous chamber meetings in the past, you might have seen me come in on a couple of different occasions and present with you guys. But I just wanted to introduce who we are as a company, who I am, and how I'm partnering with the community. At Effective, we're targeting audiences across multi-screen campaigns. So this utilizes a mix of live television on cable, as well as on-demand and streaming platforms. And the whole idea of our business is to work with local businesses hand in hand and create tailored advertising campaigns for them. Now, I know we're in a bit of unprecedented territory this year, especially in regards to tourism. Businesses are looking to adapt and change their business model however they see fit. And our job is to help those who need to do that. So we're scaling campaigns to your backyard and beyond, making sure that we can make affordable campaigns that also hit the eyes and ears of those who matter most to your business. So your audience may be changing. There's I'm sure more locals than ever looking for staycations or going to local resorts or restaurants. And the idea is for us to help create a strategy on how to draw those visitors in for your business. Now, we see campaigns from beginning to end, and we're a consultant through the entire process. So from the introductory talks with your business to producing a commercial with an in-house agency, we have one named Mnemonic who we work with regularly. And then we see your campaign come to fruition and go on air and onto these platforms. And then from there, we report even further using direct metrics, attribution models, and at the end of the day, we use this so that we can adjust, pivot, or stay the course with the campaign as you see fit. So later on in this meeting, I'm going to be speaking with Kathy from Crane Beach House, and you're going to see firsthand how we would conduct an advertising survey interview with a local client, and this way you can get a better sense of who we are and how we can help your business.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
Back to you, Tiff. I'm sorry?
Did you want to dive into that?
Oh, we can dive into that right now if you'd like. Yeah, sure. I don't know if Kathy's there. Is
Yeah,
Kathy?
I'm here, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
I'm all ready for you.
How are you?
Good.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah, so Kathy and I had a little bit of a conversation on the phone earlier this week, but I just wanted to show you how we would work with a client. So Kathy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and what makes you great and different from the competition in terms of tourism and resorts?
Great. Well, thank you, Kevin. And good morning, everybody. I'm also very happy that we're doing this. And Kevin, you definitely know that right now we're desperately needing some sort of marketing efforts that we're hoping that we can start to pursue. And at our hotel, we're definitely doing that. So I'll give you a little background on who we are. We're a luxury boutique hotel, because you asked me the question, tell me about my business. And then you also said what makes us so great and different from our competition. And I had to really think about that because Delray has so many amazing hotels and we already have a great destination. But I think what really makes our hotel different, besides, I have the pool background that you can see, we have two very private pool areas, but we're definitely, we're probably like one of the, premier smaller properties in Palm Beach County. So that sets us a little bit aside from the bigger properties. And we have some new rooms that we just did recently on our renovation. So we recently completed a $1.9 million renovation. So we know that definitely puts us aside. And we did that over the last 5 years. So thankfully we did it prior to COVID and in perfect timing because all of our kitchens are brand new. And that really did help us during this time period to sell our rooms because we needed to have full kitchens and privacy in and out, like less touch points. So it definitely was something that we worked on prior, not even knowing. But we're known to be one of the best places for a staycation. So we were recently noted as one of the top 12 hotels in the state of Florida for having staycations. And if I had to guess, it was probably just because of our hospitality team. I happened to be the manager of an exceptional hospitality team that I'm very happy and proud to work with. Every one of them puts so much time into working with each one of their guests. Each one of our guests. And I think that makes everyone feel VIP when they come and stay with us. The thing that makes us different from our competition is that we're tucked away in a lush tropical setting, like you can see behind me. And we offer just this amazing level of personal guest service to every single one of our guests. And we're an upscale 28-room beach chic suites is kind of what we say, ranging in size from kitchenette studios to deluxe one-bedroom suites, which are one of our new room types, and our luxury villas, which we've been known for and probably have a wait list even during COVID. So it's been nice to have those rooms. But we're located about a block from the beach, and I think our guests let us know that we're similar to an experience of having their own private island in the middle of a busy downtown, because we all know Delray Beach is very busy. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a summary of who we are.
That's awesome, and thank you for that. And I love the background that you put up there. Yeah, so I mean, that's the perfect example of how you would be able to tailor a campaign, right? You understand from the ground up what your business can bring to the table, how you differentiate yourself in the marketplace, and you also have an accolade that basically says this is a perfect place for a staycation. And right now, with everything going on with the pandemic and the changing atmosphere, and honestly, how every month seems to differ from the last. Staycations have been kind of a recurring theme over the last few months in terms of tourism, seeing more local clients come to your place of business. So the fact that you're able to hold yourself up as one of the top places in the state of Florida for a staycation is great. You can lean into the villas. You can lean into having a self-serve place so people don't feel like they have to put themselves out and about or in harm's way in order to get food, or they can cook in if they want to. So it really depends on the situation and how people are feeling. But what's interesting is that you had mentioned, you're seeing a lot more local clients come in. So what type of protocols, or is there anything that you would want to showcase in an advertising campaign that talks about the safety measures and precautions that you're taking?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we knew right from the beginning when this first started that health and safety was going to be key. So we literally had to dive in and start working early on with just putting the safety protocols in place. And we did something, like I said, very early on and got a lot of national attention. I think we were noted in some national publications for it. But we put together a contact-free or a no contact guest service type of check-in. We created a check-in process, and then everything from the check-in to the actual going into the room and all of the things inside the room, we really did have to put a huge plan in place, and it was a lot of effort. It took an entire team to do it, and it took us a lot of time and to get it right. So we have changed with every one of the restrictions every time they place something on us, but that's probably the most important thing right now, that when we did such a good job at it that now most of the guests that are coming to stay with us, they don't even ask. They know that we have a very safe, and we've been very responsible in how we were doing it. So that would be key for me to make sure it's in anything we do marketing.
And that's exactly the point. And I think a lot of businesses right now are trying to traverse this, this landscape in terms of showing that you're safe, but not showing that you're so restrictive that you can't relax and enjoy yourself at the resort or at the restaurant or what have you, right? So, you know, what we've been doing with some clients, for example, is creating a 30-second commercial spot. The first 10 seconds can show something like, let's just say people relaxing by the pool, maybe inside the villa itself. And then the middle 10 seconds of the commercial could be showcasing something like sanitary measures. You know, guest services going and making sure there is this clean check-in protocol, making sure that they're wiping down all the seats at the pool, maybe practicing culinary measures in a safe way, and then wrapping it up with the final 10 seconds, which might show a happy couple on the beach or families playing in the ocean. And the whole idea here is it's a mental play. You're trying to basically entice them in initially, you know, reaffirm any suspicions they might have that you're taking the necessary measures that need to be taken, and then making sure that they are left with a lasting impression that you're a really fun place to come visit. And
Kevin, you're making a great point, because in all of the other and after we talked the other day, I'd put a lot of thought into this, and there's really not very many platforms that you can use to be able to get that point across. We've used photos. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I do really believe that the videos and a commercial like that would really be helpful for any business at this point to showcase it.
Right. And I think that, you know, and then not just that, but once you're able to have all of the pieces in place and you have the commercial made, the idea is targeting your audience. Now, you had mentioned to me in the previous call that, you know, your audience has changed drastically during COVID. It's more local driven market or staycation, as we had, you know, alluded to. But traditionally, you have more of a 40+ age group, maybe some retirees from northern states, couples and family, but it really depends on the trends in the industry. So the idea, I know we don't have a lot of time today, but, you know, if just for everybody else on the call to know, this is kind of the rapport and back and forth that we would be having. A traditional interview call like this with us would take about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the business and what you'd like to get across. But the idea here is to really delve into finding your client, finding the message that you want to construe, and then making sure that we can put pen to paper, see the campaign from fruition from beginning to end, make sure that you're satisfied, and then always be a consultant beyond once the campaign is on air. So I really do thank Kathy for hopping on and kind of being the interviewee today. I really appreciate that. And please, anybody on the call, feel free to reach out to me with any more questions. Like I said, we work with local businesses. I'm based in West Palm area, so I work with Boca, Delray all the time, Boynton Beach. So if you'd like to have a call or just a chat, I'm happy to help. And I'm also always happy to help just to run some marketing ideas by, you know, if you're just doing some things, you're curious to know like what I think about or anything. I come from a marketing background. So I'm happy to have a consult that way too.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We'll put your information in the chat for all of you guys that are joining us live, and we'll also send it in the recap that you will all get at the end of the day today. So thank you, Perspective, and thank you, Kevin and Kathy. We appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Sergio Piedra and Gustav Weibull from Discover the Palm Beaches.
Forgot to unmute my mic. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Good morning. And thank you to Stephanie and Tiffany and the rest of the gang at the Chamber for having us this morning. And let me start my presentation here. Let me share my screen if I can. Let's see here. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see this. Just, okay. All right. Okay. Good morning again. My name is Sergio Piedra. I'm Director of Community Engagement and Advocacy for Discover the Palm Beaches. And this morning we're going to take you on a little whirlwind tour of what's happening, both in the tourism sector and what we think will happen in the near and dear future. So where are we right now? We're in the midst of a phased economic recovery approach to bringing back visitors. Some of you may have seen this in other presentations, but here's a few more updates. And for those of you who haven't seen this before, this will be new to you, obviously. So phase one, which was kind of an approach of just looking at South Florida and Palm Beach County residents, and South Florida being Broward and Miami-Dade counties. This happened right after the hotels were allowed to reopen and accept guests who were not first responders and so forth. And then now we're kind of moving into that second phase, and Gustav will get more into some of those numbers, but we're slowly reaching out to our to possible visitors to the north in Tampa and Orlando and Jacksonville. And then down the road will be that phase three, which will be further out into the southeast in our traditional fly markets. So these are some of our phase two ads. You may have seen these locally here. Like I said, we're targeting people doing a staycation or who want to drive up from Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And I said a little bit further north now. You'll see some of the lead things like free hotel nights, which is a big part of it, but also there's terrific deals from many different hotels and attractions. Here's one of the billboards you may have seen somewhere on 95 or the Turnpike. And one of the most important things here, and I think Gustav will touch on this also, is the health and safety message. If we don't have health and safety, nobody's going to come here. And one of the things we've launched was the Palm Beaches Pledge, which is very simple: spread out, mask up, and sanitize. And so far, we have about 160 plus pledges from different restaurants, hotels, organizations. Various cities have endorsed it, including the Delray Beach Chamber. So we appreciate that. And also downtown Delray Beach, the DDA, we certainly appreciate all their support. But we've also had different cities like Boca Raton, Riviera Beach, West Palm also endorse it. And also GBAC. Now GBAC stands for Global Biorisk Advisory Council. And this is obviously an accreditation system for having your location, your business properly sanitized. And we've been at the forefront of this in Florida. And one of the first people to do was the airport and the convention center. And now we're up to about 40 plus hotels and 10 cultural institutions. Again, this is part of that health and safety message. But we've also been busy being advocates, and this is part of that. You could, whoop, one slide too fast. We've been doing outreach of the Palm Beach County delegation, both the federal and at the state level, reminding them that tourism is our second largest industry in this county and that we need their support. We know anybody can tell you Washington is dysfunctional and Tallahassee isn't too far behind, but they've been very responsive to our message. They understand how much the pandemic has really torn apart the tourism industry. So we expect their support to continue in 2021 and after this election. And also, we've been part of various tourism task force. The Boynton Beach and Riviera Beach have formed task force and during this pandemic to kind of see what they can do for their citizens. The Chamber of the Palm Beaches, our friends here in West Palm Beach have also created a task force during the pandemic to see what they can, how tourism can help their businesses. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Gustav for some more statistical information.
Thank you, Sergio. So I'm Gustav Weibull. I'm the Senior Director of Research at Discover the Palm Beaches, and I'll be sharing with you, how 2020 has looked in the tourism space in the county, and I have some tidbits of Delray Beach information in here as well. So next slide, Sergio. So a little bit of history. In 2019, we had 8.2 million visitors, and that was a record-breaking year. 5.2 million visitors are overnight, and going into 2020, we thought it was going to be another record-breaking year. So about January, February timeframe, we were looking at a 5% increase for 2020. So that had been about 8.6 million visitors. And Delray hosts about 10% of these visitors annually as well. Next slide. So what happened here was we all know the pandemic took hold, and we had these safer at home orders late March, early April. And visitation for the first quarter of 2020 was not too bad. So losing the last few weeks of March, it took a little bit of a hit, but the safer at home orders and lockdowns nationwide and globally, second quarter, you can see that we took a 62% hit on visitation. So first half of the year, down 34%. We're looking at about 6 million visitors from the 8.2 million visitors for the rest of the year, and that puts us at about 2014 levels. Next slide. Okay, then next slide, Sergio. There we go. So also in terms of visitor spending, so less visitors means less spending here. So direct spending for the year down 16%. And you can see here on the left-hand side what that kind of means to different industries in here. So the interesting thing during this time is the grocery stores are actually increased in sales, while F&B total has gone down because restaurants taking the bigger hit in there. So that's about $710 million less on the restaurant side there. Next slide. So if we look specifically at Delray Beach, here's sort of an idea of what the tourism product looks like in Delray Beach. You have 11 hotels, almost 300 full-service restaurants, hundreds of retailers, and importantly, there's 2,700 households that they depend on tourism for their livelihoods. Next slide. So this is total sales from January to July. And this is including visitors and resident spending. And you can see that total industry has taken quite a big hit there. So food and beverage down 20 million, lodging down 16 million, recreation down 4 million, and retail down 47 million. You can see that this is total sales again. So this is from visitors and residents. And you can see in 2019, the share of these sectors that are made up by visitors there. So 15% on the food and beverage side, 51% on recreation, and then 9% on the retail side. Next slide. So we were able to isolate downtown Delray Beach, and we have a company that tracks cell phone. So if you see here on the map, anybody that their cell phone device has crossed into this orange line and they're not a resident of the Palm Beach County, we're tracking them as a visit into this area. So I put some points in there. So it includes Old School Square, the tennis center, the DDA is just outside there. The new Hyatt Place is outside the area. The Colony's in there, courtyard, and then Crane's Beach House. Unfortunately, you're not in this because you're on the other side of the intercoastal. Next slide, we have a little bit of data here that shows what's happened in that slice of Delray Beach. So Delray as a whole is about 10% of visitation in 2019, and then the downtown area is capturing 7% of that. So that's 5,500 visitors in 2019. January through March, you had almost 8% of total visitation into the county. Then through the lockdown, it dropped to 2.5%, an 83% decrease in visitation. If you remember from the earlier slide, visitation for the county during second quarter was only down 60% versus this is 83%. coming into the summertime, 3.4% of visitation, and we're looking at visitation for the summer estimates. 2019, we had 1.7 million visitors to the county. We're looking at about 1 million visitors in the summer, and you're capturing 3.4% of that, down 55%. Again, this visitation drop from 1.7 to 1 million is about 30% drop. So downtown Delray is not recovering necessarily as fast as the rest of the county, and there's a couple of reasons for that. We see a lot of exploring to the nature areas, eco assets, not necessarily the downtown areas. So some of that recovery is yet to come into the city space. Next slide. In terms of nationally what's happening, this is a weekly survey that tracks travel sentiment across the U.S. consumers, and we're at the highest levels yet of consumers ready to travel. That's at the far right. 56% of Americans say they are ready to travel right now, which is a good sign for recovery going forward. Next slide. In terms of those ready to travel, what do they want to do? Well, the Palm Beaches, Delray Beach are poised for recovery better than anywhere else in the US because Florida is the #1 destination travelers are looking at. They're looking at beaches. They want small towns. The only challenge that we're seeing moving forward is reachable by car. We're far down in South Florida. It's a little bit more of a drive, and airlift right now, about 25% of US travelers say they will fly, and there are limited options flying as well. So the road trip is certainly the opportunity right now. So getting someone to take a little bit of longer trip to come here to see our beaches will help our recovery. Next slide. And lastly, I want to hit on the recovery economically comes from tourism. There won't be a recovery if tourism does not recover. Remember, there are, 3,000 households or so that are dependent upon tourism in Delray Beach. And we've surveyed them in the past, and we asked them, how do you feel about tourism? You can see here unanimously that they believe that tourism helps improve the economy, it creates jobs, it reduces the tax burden. So once tourism recovers, then we can see jobs being created and improving the economy. Again, I'm going to hand it over to Sergio to kind of hit more on this topic.
Thank you, Gustav. And I forgot to mention at the very beginning of our presentation that Gustav and I have to leave early. So if there's any Q&A you may have, I would suggest putting it into the chat. If not, we'll have our contact information. You can certainly reach out to us personally. But one of the things that Gustav alluded to is that how much tourism means to individual cities. And one of the things we want to try to do is become a community asset. And look at it this way, this is something you'll hear about more in 2021, that destination promotion, as we see it, is a benefit to everyone. It's a common good. It's not only a way to bring in money from the outside, but also a way of creating a relationship with our residents, we see as our #1 customer, and also the businesses, hotels and attractions, and everyone who comes into our Palm Beaches and Palm Beach County. So anyone hiring talent, anyone making an investment in Palm Beach County, we feel we need to have a relationship with them. Discover is not just a tourism promotion agency, but it also can be a way of public service. And we're active in the community. We're aware of what's happening. We're listening and communicating to different businesses. So that's one thing I'd like you to do is just think differently. See us in a different way. And again, you'll hear more about this in the coming year. So we'll leave you with this, some call to action. The Palm Beaches Pledge in GBAC, again, health and safety will bring back visitors in greater numbers and also give confidence to the residents. Continue to see tourism as an economic driver. It's part of us. It's in our DNA. We've done it for 100+ years and we'll continue to do it as long as we're standing here. And yes, take a staycation, invite your friends and family from out of state or in state or what have you. Dollars will create jobs and save jobs. And also, we are a partner-driven organization. We do have various partnership levels we can offer you. So this is the shameless plug part. We have room for every kind of business. So if you're interested in more in that, just let us know. Again, this has been Sergio and Gustav. And let me stop sharing my screen and turn things back over to Tiffany.
Thank you guys so much. That I love how deep you went with the numbers for us as a destination. I think that that's really helpful to everyone that's on the call. So thank you both for that. If anybody has any questions, please utilize that chat. I don't see any coming through, but if you do have any questions that you think of that you're like, oh man, I should have asked them, like I said, we will include everyone's contact information in our recap email. With that, if there are no questions, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Peter Ricci from FAU. Again, thank you, Sergio, and thank you, Gustav from Discover the Palm Beaches.
Thanks, Tiffany. I'll have you orchestrate my PowerPoints. You can start anytime. I'm going to be, I'll go through this very quickly, but I wanted to share with you some feedback we're getting in higher ed. And higher education, of course, we always lag behind other things. Like, for example, the lack of tourism visitors that, Gustav was just mentioning, it's going to take a big toll on the state university system and K through 12 next year. So we're all just kind of in a wait and see as to what the future is for hospitality education. You can go to the next one too. And there's my contact information. So one thing that we did at the very start, which you're probably aware of, is we offered a free certificate to keep people engaged and kind of to get some feedback on what people were saying in the business. Since I even did this slide, we're over 80,000 now, and we've probably had 65,000 access from countries all over the world. And we've decided to keep this certificate going because one thing that we're noticing among your associates and your colleagues and your coworkers is that COVID has left a very, very sour taste. And we are hearing 4 main themes from employers that are actually hiring right now. There are still a lot of places that are hiring globally that are far ahead in COVID. And believe it or not, they're having a very difficult time filling positions. And the 4 themes we're hearing are: 1, I still feel unsafe myself and I don't want to work with guests. 2, I'm still having family duties or spouse duties related to COVID and I can't leave the house. 3, I'm doing better on unemployment and stimulus and I don't want to come back to the industry yet. And 4, the industry abandoned me and I don't want to come back to hospitality. And the 4th prong is really scaring me. Now, again, we haven't done a big research study at any university yet, but these are the things we're hearing. And so what I got out of these thousands of people thus far is COVID has taken away their family. And by family, I mean our hospitality workers. They are with people every day. They're interacting with guests every day. They're with their biological families. And COVID kind of ripped that connection away. So they're really lost. So you can go on, Tips, to the next one. So what a lot of people are doing, you don't have to play this video. I'll share this with you. But we just know that this certificate and engagement will go on. And if you want any info on it, let me know. And every time I do a presentation, because I really think that the time that you take to belong to the chamber and professional organizations is super important. and that you should be rewarded. So if you email me and tell me you were in this presentation, I will always give you half off to take a certificate with us. Of course, FAU doesn't like that, but I do it anyway, because you're taking time to grow and improve, and we want to help you. And we want to do it, you know, everybody's in dire straits right now. So we're trying to do things as cost effective as possible. We've had thousands of people step up and do donations, and we're just trying to keep a positive outlook. All right, Tiff, go ahead, pass this one to the next one. So one thing that we're doing right now is seeing a huge influx of inquiries in certifications. You know, do you value them as an employer? Almost every time we survey, everybody says yes, you can go down. But do you pay more for them? Then almost everybody says no. So there's a very confusing thing in the world when people are unemployed, they're impacted by COVID, and they don't know if they should continue their education and get a certification, or if they should finish their bachelor's, or if they should take the plunge and do their associates, or if they should abandon the business. And so today, my presentation with you is more of just a conversation of the things we are hearing in higher education. You can go on, Tiff. The $1 million question, almost, this is dated by a couple weeks. Over 3,000 of the people, that's the email that I get. What job will this certificate get me? And if you go to the next slide, I think it is, these are a quick Google search of current certificates available to hospitality workers. So if we paid them a premium for every one of these, and we differentiated, so I'm confounded. And that's the conversation I would love to hear from all of you. And, you know, email me and keep this dialogue going. What do you think is valid? What are the top ones? If you go back 20 years, there were 2 certifications in our industry besides ServSafe, which I think is fabulous and necessary and a must. But I think that the 2 that always stood out was the Certified Hotel Administrator, CHA, and the CMP, the Certified Meeting Professional. But we have them now as certified in live events, certified in hospitality education, certified in guest gold service, certified in this, certified in that. So what I'd like to do is have any of you reach out to me if you're interested in pursuing some type of certification, and I'll give you the transparent, real deal, whether I think it's worth it or not, or B, what should your employees do to keep themselves engaged while they're still out of work and you want them to come back a little better prepared? Which one would work? Okay, go on, Tiff, to the next one. So like Gustav showed with Visitation, these are our enrollments at FAU Hospitality for the past 14 years. It's been grow, grow, grow. Everywhere on the planet has increased tourism. Now what? Are people going to stop studying tourism? Are they going to look to go into other industries? You know, I've been getting questions every month. I'm out of work. Should I finish my bachelor's or should I do another field? These are kind of hard questions to answer. But one thing I truly believe is if hospitality is your passion, it's not going to go away. And what Gustav just showed, the future is very promising and it's not that far away. We have to get through the election. We have to get a vaccine, but we will rebound probably so quickly. And a lot of you are going to find yourselves without the ability to staff up right away because people have abandoned our industry. So I look at this trend line and it's been so rewarding to grow, but I know next year is going to be down. And again, hospitality education lags. If you're a high school student now and both of your parents have lost their jobs in hospitality, they're not encouraging you to study it. It's just a fact of life. So our educational focus in hospitality will always be 2 or 3 years behind the curve. You can go to the next one too. So what's next? There's going to be a long road of shaking out. Culinary education has had really the toughest difficulty within hospitality education. There was a huge bump in the late 80s and 90s in meeting and event programs because of Jennifer Lopez and the Wedding Planner. There were literally hundreds of degree programs started after that shakeout. Then came the reality culinary series on the restaurant shows, you know, Emerald in the beginning, and a lot of those culinary degrees came at a high cost. So in our marketplace, we have lost the Art Institute, we've lost Lincoln Culinary, Le Cordon Bleu came and went in Miami, and now Johnson & Wales is closing. So I'm very excited in Palm Beach County that Jodi Cross and others at the advisory board at Palm Beach State are creating culinary certificates, because believe me, we're going to need them. You can see that grocery is up 22%. People are as tired of eating home as they are as not traveling. And as soon as they feel comfortable, the restaurants are going to rebound. So culinary education to me is a major challenge, because we just don't have enough offerings for the road ahead. You can go to the next one. You know, private institutions are campaigning hot and heavy where you can get some credit for your life experience. So if you are thinking of finishing that degree that you never did, I would say do it now while we're still kind of shaken up and don't have that heavy 24/7 workload. We have students this semester, 10 of them that are over the age of 65 that just started with us to finish their bachelor's. So that's really exciting to me, because people are trying to come back and do what they've always wanted to do. Go ahead. Again, expansion of certificates, you know, who you're going to hire, are they worth it? And one thing I want to kind of leave you with is there's an article in Time Magazine this week that American Hotel Lodging shared. I believe it was Time. I'll try and send it to Tiff to spread around. But now there are people who were furloughed and then terminated, and the companies are hiring back and they're getting turned away for younger, cheaper employees. This is the next wave of things that we're hearing in education. Is this reality? Are these the associates that really were not doing the best job to begin with? And so all of you should be thinking, who will we hire when we're ready? Do we want to pick from the very overqualified people that are still out of work? Do we want a newbie who's coming out of Palm Beach State or FAU because they're fresh and energetic and excited? Or do we want someone that we have already furloughed that we really want to bring back first, but may have been a C+ or B- player? So as employers in Delray, when the rebound comes, I think it's going to shake a lot of you a lot faster than you'll be prepared for. So I suggest you think in advance about your own preparation for certificates or education, and also on the hiring side, who am I really going to hire and what do I want to do? How do I want to recreate my restaurant, recreate my hotel once we're in Q2 of 2021 or whenever we get the big boost again. You can go, Tiff, to the next one. So I call it confusication because we've got education, certification, and confusication. You know, I really think that a business model of education is what's saving our particular case at FAU, because our students get a bachelor's in business administration, so they can go into any different area. A lot of them, believe it or not, remember, if you're a hospitality passion, the call centers are hiring like crazy. We've just had about 30 students hired at Chewy, at Google, at Target.com. So there are other areas, but I'm very afraid of people abandoning our business. I am just very afraid of people abandoning our business. Now, you know, I always close. It's nice when you get older, you can brag about getting old. I'm 55 and I've lived here since I was 12. And I will say that tourism has been #1 income generator, tax generator, and the powerhouse for our economy ever since I was a young boy. And that's never going to change. What we're living through right now is just a very big bump. So don't let it confuse yourself so much that you abandon what you're really core and passionate about, if that makes sense. And with that, I'll kind of leave you. I know we're pressed for time. You know, if you're built for hospitality, what we really want to do is what we're really meant to do. And that's just not going to change. So I want to close with a little optimism during the COVID. And you guys can email me your questions. All right. Thanks so much, Tiff and Stephanie, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be here at the Chamber.
Thank you so much, Peter. And then for those of you that are on the call that don't know, I actually graduated from FAU College of Hospitality and Tourism back in '09. So I was on the very beginning of his slide. It was a very small program. I'm so proud to see all of the work that Peter and his team have done. So thank you, thank you. With that, I'm going to turn our presentation over to Jodi Cross, the Palm Beach County and Treasure Coast Regional Director from FRLA, the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association.
Hi, everybody. How are you? So thank you for having me. And Peter, that was an excellent presentation. And I am happy to come on the heels of you and tell you that we've got a student that's actually attending FAU this year. So all that hard work, and finally we have somebody there. But we did give out nearly $30,000 last year in scholarship monies to kids from local high schools that study culinary and hospitality. That is one of our core missions. And I'm just pleased to say that there is still a passion out there. We will be doing some fundraising again this year, even though it won't be easy. And we're, really planning on digging down deep to, make sure people still have a passion for the industry. While I was on this call, I just got a text from my friend at the Breakers who said they're looking for 3 managers for their restaurants there, which is an awesome job with great benefits. So I'm going to put that out to the group as well, just to let you know that there are jobs opening in this field, and do not lose hope. Anyway, moving on. I am Jodi Cross. I am the Regional Director for FRLA for Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast. We are a statewide organization. Can everybody see my screen? I just want to make sure. Okay, great. We're a statewide organization that is locally represented with 600 members here in Palm Beach County and 10,000 hotels and restaurants and resorts across the state. Some of the pandemic highlights and things that we've been doing are alcohol to go. Has anyone ordered alcohol to go during the pandemic? Yes. Okay. You're welcome. That was a big one to save a lot of the restaurants early on, that we got that approved. Crafting the language to include restaurants in the CARES Act. We were at the table for that in the early stages. Removing the double COVID testing restrictions so that people could get back to work and not sit on a payroll for periods of time while the employers had to pay them. And then the seal of commitment for our industry. Really the biggest thing, and Sergio mentioned it, is building back consumer confidence. And that's a key issue for us. So just to give you a little overview, in Palm Beach County, there's 2,462 restaurants. And according to the National Restaurant Association, 4 out of 10 of those are projected to close. We know all of them on our local corner. Everyone can think of 1 or 2. Chez Jean-Pierre, Pizza Girls, I think La Palette in Delray is closed, El Baccio. So it's sad and it isn't great. And we're across the state, I think the number's up to 2,000, and we're really here to support the restaurant industry. We also have 148 hotels in Palm Beach County, and 70% of those employees have been laid off. Until we get back to having group corporate business, we're going to be going through that scenario. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to bring that back until corporate business comes back. And Gustav mentioned, you know, that may not be until 2021, late in the game there on 2021 or mid 2021. So this is a little graphic that you can see that it just kind of shows you kind of what we've been going through. 2 out of 3 restaurant employees have lost their jobs, and there's billions of dollars in sales that have been lost. This is an updated version of that. So it's kind of a then and now version, just so you can see 42,000 eating and drinking establishments in Florida in 2019, generating $52 billion in revenue. We are a job and revenue generator for the state. The food service industry is 12% of the employment for the state. And right now we are in crisis. We have between March and April, 41% of the operators temporarily closed. South Florida was even worse because we were in the delayed phasing portion of that. 87% of operators had to lay off or furlough their employees, and $3.5 billion in restaurant sales have been lost. So that has resulted in, again, in a lot of employee layoffs. This is a little bit more of an update as of September. And you can just see there that the sales in the eating and drinking establishments is down $162 billion. That is billion. So we have a long way to go. This is not going to be a quick recovery. It's going to be a slow crawl out of a hole. And I have to give it to the restaurant operators, though. They have been creative. They have turned their parking lots into bistros, like on the Champs-Élysées. They have done everything they can to pivot to takeout and delivery. And I'm so proud of our industry for what they've been able to do and accomplish. As far as unemployment goes, unfortunately, this little graph here is upside down, and you can see that Florida is right behind California for job loss, 5,900 in job loss. And the employment numbers in yellow over here down 10 to 19%. So all the states in yellow have been really hurt, and the red ones are actually the worst ones, but we're right behind New York, who basically is still closed half of their restaurants for indoor dining. I want to pivot just a little bit to the hotel industry. So you can see some of the trends there that we're looking at. As I mentioned, 70% of the hotel employees have been laid off. Nearly 1.6 million hotel employees have lost their jobs. Some have trickled back. Nearly 3.9 million hotel supported jobs have been lost during the crisis. And again, we won't see all of those come back until we have group business returning. This is worse than the Great Depression. This is 8 and 10 hotel rooms are sitting empty. And so we need to take those stay vacations, as they mentioned, and really try to support our local economy if we can. This one just recently came in from the American Hotel and Lodging Association. And it's just another way of looking at the business, and the next real issue is going to be the closures of hotels. 3,800 plus hotels have closed in Florida, and about almost 1,900 of them are in foreclosure. If they don't get another round of funding, about almost 2,600 will end up in foreclosure. So we're really working hard with our partners on a national level, the National Restaurant Association and the American Hotel and Lodging Association, to get another stimulus bill through, to get that support and resources for the hotel and restaurant communities. Back to building consumer confidence, one of our core missions here during the pandemic. We have rolled out our Seal of Commitment. That Seal of Commitment, we have over 100 restaurants now that have taken part in that. And we're happy to say that if you see the Seal of Commitment, this little seal with the pineapple on it, you can feel very assured that the safety and sanitation standards have been met and exceeded. I did a little survey of my members, and they told me that they have spent $10,000 or more in PPE supplies. That's everything from sanitation to air conditioning filters, to throwaway menus, to creating QR codes, to sanitation and face shields when you come in. These are just some of the members that we have here that have gone through the process of getting their seal of commitment. We're very proud of that. And these members have gone above and beyond. So we're expanding that program. I'm happy to say at a recent TripAdvisor survey, 40% of respondents said they felt comfortable dining out again, but we still have a long way to go because that means 60% don't feel comfortable dining out. And some of those people don't feel comfortable even doing takeout. So I was on a recent mayor's conference call of all mayors across the country. And I was very encouraged by what they were saying in the cities and how they're supporting their restaurants. And one of them said that they had done copious contact tracing and not one result had come back to a restaurant. And so I think we really need to get that message out, that our restaurants are going above and beyond for safety and sanitation and really trying to do everything they can. I was recently at a Jupiter Town Council meeting when they tried to sort of roll back the outdoor dining thing, and we got that issue rescinded and pushed back till March because we need that outdoor dining spaces. We need those tents. We need the spaces. Now that season is upon us, people are going to come back. The population is going to swell, and some of those people aren't going to feel comfortable eating inside. So let's leave those tents outside. Let's leave the sidewalk cafe areas open for them so that we can get that business and recapture that. We've got a long way to go in the restaurant industry. What are we working on now? Our Restaurant and Recovery Relief Act, authorizing a second round of PPE with more flexible loan periods. So what happened was, especially down here in South, they had a period of 8 weeks to use the funding. We weren't even open for the 8-week period. So some of the conditions and terms in that just did not work for our operators. Ensuring that the taxes are deductible. Surprise, you get the loan and then all of a sudden you didn't realize you had to pay the taxes on it. So we're working on that. Getting a tax deduction for restaurants that actually have this wellness credit. So talk about the seal of commitment again, the safe restaurant environments. We're working on, you know, if you're actually gonna have your safe serve and your safety certificates and all of that. And by the way, you do get a discount on all that, 50% off when you join as an FRLA member. And then you get the COVID training piece free. And then the seal of commitment is discounted on all that stuff as well. But if you get that, you also could possibly get a tax credit just because of the sanitation. And we realize that is another way to get the consumer confidence back, which is what we really need. We need people dining out again. Expanding the retention tax and giving significant cuts on that. And then even making it available. They want to do takeout and delivery, and they want it to be available for SNAP participants, which I think is an interesting concept too. So those are some of the things we're working on a national level. Now, what is on the horizon? The next threat, unfortunately. In the bill, in the November election, and I guess it's 10 days, 12 days, there is something called Amendment 2. Amendment 2 is the $15 minimum wage. That will bring minimum wage from $8.56 to $15. And along with it, it will hike the tip credit from $5.54 to $11.98. This will throw the restaurant industry into a tailspin, and unfortunately, it will create chaos and more jobs will be lost. I want to see if I can show this quick little video just to show you if you have not voted at the moment. It's actually, we were lucky enough to get it on the ballot so that the wording actually says what the amendment will do if it passes.
Jodi, we can't see the video. We can see the slides.
Okay, hold on a second. I may not be able to share that. I don't know. Is there a way you can share that?
Yep, give me 2 seconds. I'm pulling it up.
Okay. Yeah, it was embedded, and now I got to switch over to
Which slide? What
it's
slide?
12, number 12.
Perfect.
12 on my deck. Look for the one that has the little box on, I may have added a slide after I sent it to you. It's a link along the bottom.
Yep, I got it. Give me 1 second.
Let me see if I can do it.
Sorry, everybody. It's making me download. Give me 1 second. Here.
You know what? I think I got it. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint now? Okay, perfect. So it says right on there that it could actually put businesses out of business. It could actually put a lot of pressure on governments and reduce services and all of that. So unfortunately, we're hoping to defeat this amendment, and businesses will be forced to cut hours. They'll be forced to cut benefits. They'll have to raise their menu prices. I talked to several of my members about this. One restaurant who has like 100 seats, it's going to cost him $294,000 to his payroll. And another sort of local chain like a Duffy's or a 2J's just kind of did the math, and it's going to cost them about $4.8 million to their payroll. And you may already know that 2J's is just emerging out of bankruptcy at the moment. And so there's no way to roll that much into the cost of a bagel or the cost of a wrap. So they're going to end up having to cut employees and cut hours and close more stores. So the whole thing is just, you know, it's unfortunate. And that is what we're dealing with as the next threat on the horizon. So we're hoping that today, even the Delray Chamber and most of our chambers locally, the North Palm Chamber, the Central Chamber, have all come out against this, as has the Farm Bureau. The farmers have been hurt dramatically by this. So we're hoping that you will come out against this amendment as well. I think my screen just went crazy. Let's see.
I went and shared mine instead. Is that okay?
Sure. Can you move on to the next slide? Okay, great. Yeah, so it's going to affect tip workers, younger workers, and we need those workers. I met with a franchisee of McDonald's yesterday who has 30 stores. Basically, they'll just automate the order process, and those $20,000, $25,000 a year jobs will go away. And we need those jobs because those are the next managers and the next people that come up the ranks to work in their restaurants and become, you know, general managers. So that's it. Next, I think that's almost my last slide. Yep, that is my last slide. So if you have any questions, there's my contact information. I'm available to answer any questions you may have. If you want to get involved with FRLA, I encourage you to join the ranks of our 10,000 members. We have a very big voice in Tallahassee, and we're also a very fun organization locally. So let's get involved and see what we can do. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Jodi, thank you so much for joining us. We did have a few questions in the chat specifically.
Okay.
Kathy from Cranes Beach House was wondering if you had any data for the restaurants in Delray specifically that you could share with us later.
Okay.
And then Scott, our South Florida Savings Guy, do you know if there are certain areas, whether it be the Keys, Orlando, et cetera, or other areas of the state doing better? And if so, why? Trying to figure out what they might be doing that can be incorporated in Delray.
Okay. There are areas of the state that are doing better, and it's really because they opened quicker, they opened faster. We're still, you know, even Miami, I think, just rolled back to some curfews. So, you know, I think we've got to keep the numbers down. Yesterday was the first day that the numbers went up above 5%. We've got to have safety first. We cannot have a rebound of the COVID, or, you know, we will be in threat of shutdown again. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm just saying we've got to balance it with making sure that there's safety and sanitation and everybody's, you know, keeping up with that. And at the same time, making sure, you know, the numbers stay manageable. So, But I mean, I liked what that at that mayor conference where they said there was actually no contact tracing back to restaurants. And I think we need to get the word out about that and show people that, show them that you're wearing your masks when you come in, show them you're wearing your masks behind when you're cooking, things like that. That makes people feel safe and secure. And they want to dine in places that they feel safe and secure. So, I mean, I know like Keys still has the mandate. So, you know, it's busy down there, but they're still following those, you know, kind of rules and guidelines. The northern parts of the state, they've had meetings and things like that. They're sort of coming back to the meetings, but a lot, we just had a conference up in Destin and a lot of it was outdoors with 150 people. I know they just had a charity event up in Martin County with 300 people, but again, it was outdoors. So I think there's creative ways to do it, and we need to kind of keep on top of that. I like the fact that Jupiter rolled back on their issue with pulling the tents off the sidewalks and stuff. We need to keep those outdoor dining spaces so that restaurants can have that extended space and be able to offer that as season approaches and all those New Yorkers and New Jersey people come back so that they can feel comfortable, you know, and we can double our occupancy and not worry, you know, we don't need to be worrying about, you know, the law says this. We need to be worrying about how can we keep our local restaurants in business. That's what we need to be worrying about.
Thank you so much, Jodi. And thank you to FRLA for all that you're doing for us as a city and for the state, really, and for all of our local businesses. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our emergency manager for the city of Delray Beach to close us out, Mr. Chris Bell. I just unmuted your phone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. How long do you want me to go? I'm not sure what time crunch you're under.
You have about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. I was not sure if I needed to do the 60-second version. So Chris Bell, City of Delray Beach Emergency Manager. I got here in Delray Beach just in time for COVID. I spent the last 10 years doing emergency management for the state health department in Vermont. So viruses are kind of my wheelhouse. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll go really quickly. What I thought I'd do was talk about the current restrictions that remain, talk about kind of what the current numbers and what we think is going to happen in the coming months, and the timeline for kind of when we'll get closer to normal. Please interrupt me if you have questions, or I'll watch the chat. There are 3 restrictions essentially that remain in Palm Beach County and in Delray Beach. Those are facial coverings in indoor spaces, or when social distancing can't be maintained. Social distancing is required, and enhanced cleaning and disinfecting protocols. So restaurants have a specific exemption that we're listed in the governor's order, that while they are required to have social distancing, if social distancing would force restaurants to go below 50% of their occupancy or below 100% of their occupancy, they don't have to follow that. And so in an ideal world, and I've been out to a lot of restaurants in the last month or so, I see people trying to space everybody out, but I think that's it. In an ideal world, you would space out tables as you sat them, and then as you had to fill it in between, that's when you would fill in people in between. But restaurants have that exemption. In Palm Beach County, the Palm Beach County order that the city then mimics, as we do each time the county issues a new order, still says you have to maintain social distancing inside any indoor space. Individuals, patrons, people walking down the street can't be ticketed or fined or anything for not wearing a facial covering, but we do still, the order still requires that businesses require facial coverings as people are coming in, and make sure that facial coverings are being used. And then again, the enhanced cleaning and disinfecting, just following the CDC guidance. So those are really the only 3 restrictions that remain. There's no restrictions on operating hours that are COVID specific. So you go back to whatever the normal law or rules would be for anything like that. As far as numbers, unfortunately, Jodi, I will say that we are starting to spike again. We haven't had more than 5,000 cases in a day in the state since the beginning of August, aside from one day where it was a data dump kind of malfunction. And then today's numbers, there are 5,500 new cases in the state. So we had gone down to the point where we're in the 2000s, was kind of our average mid-2000s, and now we're starting to build back up again. This has kind of been predicted by a lot of the experts. They thought this was going to happen. And this, along with the beginning of the influenza season, means that we're going to probably see a lot of people hit hospitals and a lot of people are going to get sick. I would say that nothing is going to change as far as restrictions. I would be shocked if I saw any restrictions, at least in the next however many days we said, 12 to 14 days until the next election. And after that, depending on what the numbers look like, I would be very surprised if we saw the same kind of restrictions happen at the state or in the county level as we did earlier this year. I think because restaurants, hotels, all the businesses and retail and grocery stores, everybody has done the extra cleaning, is wearing masks, are doing all those things. I would be very surprised to see kind of a blanket stay-at-home order or something like that again. I would be less surprised to see occupancy limits or percentages decrease of occupancy. I think that if it continued to get bad in the next coming months after the election, there's a chance that we'll see that coming either in the state or in South Florida again. But obviously, I'm not the one making those decisions. But I think if I were guessing and kind of looking at what the numbers look like now, that's what I would be surprised or not surprised to see. I agree with the doctor from FAU. We're probably not back to everybody getting as close to normal as possible until the middle of next year. You know, once probably one or more vaccines are available and people who are going to take it or are going to accept the vaccine, we get widespread coverage combined with everybody continuing to wear face masks. It's probably the middle of 2021 before we are as close to normal as we're going to get. And then we can really kind of take a breath of relief, I think. Okay, I see a couple of questions popping up and I'm happy to pop those. Are facial coverings required in outdoor areas of business in Delray? If they're business property, you're supposed to still wear a facial covering as you're moving around the space until you get to your seat and you're actually taking a drink or eating or something like that. So yes, you'd still have to, if it's in your business, you'd still have to have facial coverings outside until they got to their place where they're doing that. College students gathering in large groups, sure. I think that we opened all the schools, we opened all the colleges, we told people it's okay to go to the bars and not against bars because I was at the bars too, but I think go to places where people can congregate in large groups. And when you put more people together in a large group, especially in an indoor place, there's a greater chance of disease transmission. And so I think because we're opening, it's entirely predictable that our numbers were going to go up. The mayor in Miami, yeah, I think that's still being challenged. The question was, the mayor said there's still curfew. One of the adult entertainment facilities sued them and got an injunction or got it overturned, and then the city got an injunction until it could be heard by an appeals court. So it's still up in the air as far as whether that is. Our reading of the governor's order from 2 weeks ago was that cities and counties, municipalities and counties are allowed to put restrictions on restaurants to keep them below the 100% occupancy. But in order to do so, the order has to both declare the public health or safety reason for it and has to state the economic impact of keeping those restaurants or those locations below 100% occupancy. And I suspect that that's a distasteful thing for a politician to want to do, is write an order to say this is costing X number of dollars by keeping them below this percentage. So no, to my knowledge, nobody in Florida has taken up the governor's offer on how they can limit restaurants below 100% capacity. There wasn't anything that said anybody aside from restaurants could be limited below 100% capacity. Again, with the exception of just being able to do social distancing. I think that's it, unless other questions scrolled past. So I'm happy to take any other questions or give you back 5 minutes of your day.
There was a second part to the first question. It was, can a business be fined if customers are not wearing a face covering inside or outside?
Thank you. Answer is yes. Businesses are the only ones, in fact, that can be fined now, because the governor, in the governor's order, he eliminated the ability for municipalities or counties to fine individuals and waived all fines that had already been levied against individuals for not complying with mask mandates or coronavirus restrictions. He did not include businesses in that. And so yes, businesses are the ones who potentially can be fined for patrons not wearing masks or their employees not wearing masks as they're entering or exiting or walking around. If it's a non-restaurant, if they're walking around a retail facility, yes, a business can be fined for that or have action taken.
Any final questions for Chris?
Sorry, I was chuckling because I saw Peter Ricci's comment that I'm going to walk around town with him every day now. I'll send you the hourly rate.
Laura asked if that applies to standalone bars.
I'm sorry, what?
Laura,
does what apply?
Does which?
Sorry, Laura.
You can just unmute. That's okay.
Hi, sorry. Hey, Chris. So for standalone bars, so they're standing, everyone has to wear a mask in a standalone bar as well?
Yes, everybody has to wear a mask everywhere. While
yeah, but once they're in the bar, if they're standing and drinking, they have to have the mask on?
Yeah, they have to drink through the mask. If you get it really close, no, they're supposed to at all times when you're not actively eating or drinking. I mean, ideally, that's what they're doing. When they're standing still, eating or drinking, they can take off the mask.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm at a point of conflict here, right? Because you put 30 people in close proximity. I've been to several bars in my lifetime. I'm 47 to go with Peter. I've been to several bars. I know I want to go and have a good time and socialize. And so you put 30 people together in close proximity and they all talk and laugh, and it increases chances of disease transmission. Mm-hmm. So to the extent you can encourage behaviors that are going to limit that, that's what you do. But I know that's the opposite of what we're saying when we say to open up.
Thank you.
I saw another question, increase of tests given in relation to positive cases. It's the opposite. So we have gone from a peak of the state conducting about 105, 110,000 tests per day, now down to between 40 and 50 and 60,000 tests per day. And so these positive cases are coming from actually a much smaller amount of testing. And that's why the testing percentage, the positivity rate that you hear people talk about, the percentage of those tested on any given day who test positive has begun to go back up again. So yeah, it's over 5% now. I thought today's was 6 or 7% or something like that. 5% isn't a magic number. 5% is a estimate of the number at which public health authorities can say, okay, you tested positive, so I'm going to call you and I'm going to find out everywhere you've been in the time period that you could have been infectious. I'm going to contact all the people you've been in close contact with in that time period, and I'm going to get them to quarantine or get tested. And so that's the case identification and case tracking that they would do to try to then limit the spread. Because if we can catch one person who got it, the 4 people they were exposed to, and keep them away from other people until we know they don't have it, then the disease stops there and it doesn't go on to another person. The 5% is really just a capacity issue that local health departments can't. If the positivity rate, as it was at one point, was 16%, 13%, they don't have enough people to track that many people with new cases and all of the people they could have been in contact with. And so 5% is a ballpark there, but that's it. Only symptomatic being tested? No, everybody's being tested at most of the sites. I don't know if there are any sites that are requiring anybody to have symptoms now. And so no, it's actually people who are symptomatic and asymptomatic. A lot of people are going to because somebody or other needs them to get a negative test before they can do X, Y, or Z, whether that's return to work or whether that's go take an out-of-country vacation or something like that. A lot of people are saying, I need to go get a negative test. So there's a lot of people getting tested who have no symptoms, who just are adding to presumably adding to the negative numbers. Where can we find the Delray requirements for COVID for businesses? So Delray mimics the Palm Beach County ones for coronavirus restrictions. So every time the county issues a new order, the city issues simply an essentially identical order, just to make it ease of enforcement for Delray code enforcement and Delray police officers compared to trying to enforce the county order, which they could still do. But so it's the county website is probably the most up to date. PBC Corona orders is what I Google when I want to find the most current orders, and that's where it lists. The most recent, I think, is the executive emergency order 28 from the county, and that's what lists those three things that are remaining: the masks, social distancing, and enhanced cleaning and disinfection. Sorry. Does that mean the other person have? Yeah, go ahead.
Night at like 5 o'clock.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Those orders typically come out Friday night at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, almost always. That's also when the press conferences get scheduled, right?
Yeah. I'm usually talking to Chris at about 6 o'clock on a Friday. Hey, what do I need to communicate to everyone?
They're like, what do we have to do tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, every person who gets a positive test gets contact tracing. They don't have to get contact tracing until they have a positive test. So if I was to a question, I think came from South Florida Savings guy. If you tested positive and you and I were just having a drink, I have to be monitored for symptoms, quarantine for 14 days, and watch that I don't develop symptoms. But nobody has to be contact traced from me until I test positive. So you only have to do the person who actually tests positive and all their contacts, and then that's it. And then if any of their contacts test positive, then you spread out around those people. And that's where the 5% kind of makes that doable with the amount of public health workers that the state has.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Very, very valuable information.
I also want to
thank my contact info. So.
Yeah, we're going to put the contact information in the chat, but we're also going to send a recap, just really good recap, to everyone who signed up to participate today. So you'll get the contact information from all of our panelists if you have further questions. I want to thank our panelists so much. It was incredibly valuable information that you all provided us, and that's evidenced by all the questions that we had in the chat and the participation that we have from everyone on the call today. So to recap, for me, until the virus is under control, I don't think we'll be getting back to 100%, but there are things that businesses can do to make people feel more comfortable about coming back. And it's all the things that we've talked about. So if you make it visible that you're taking their safety into consideration, your locals will come back, and that's the most important thing. And personally, all that we can do is to follow the CDC guidelines, masks, sanitization, social distancing, and especially encourage your friends and families and colleagues to do the same thing. So the quicker we can get this under control, the quicker we can get back to some semblance of normalcy. And I know that's what everybody wants. So Tiff, do you want to tell them what's coming up with the Chamber? We've got a lot of things coming up. We're doing some in person, and we're going to continue throughout 2021 to do things remotely because we get so much participation and engagement from people because we're able to just zoom in like this. So you'll still be hearing from us digitally all year long next year, but we're dipping our toe in the water with getting people together in person. So we have a couple of things. Tiff, do you want to just tell them what we have coming up?
So just quickly, I just want to piggyback on what Stephanie was saying. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us on this call this morning. Thank you to our presenters and our sponsor, Effective. Thank you to our friends from Discover the Palm Beaches, FAU Hospitality and Tourism Management, FRLA, and the City of Delray Beach. We really, really appreciate all of your support of your Delray Chamber. So I just wanted to say that first. We do have a few chamber announcements. Lots going on today, so you can join us all day long, guys. Tonight we have a ribbon cutting from 5:30 to 7:30 for Eat Better, Live Better. They're just down on Swinton. Masks are required, social distancing. We will cut the ribbon at about 6:30. So if you'd like to help celebrate Deborah Tendrich and Eat Better, Live Better, we encourage you to join us this evening. Also tonight for our young professionals, this is a call out to you and all of your colleagues 40 and under. Our YPADers, our Young Professionals Association of Delray, has their very first in-person meeting. It will be at Seed Workspace over on Linton. They have a huge co-working space on the second floor of the entire building. So lots of social distancing in place, and that's at 6 p.m. They'll probably start trivia about 6:30, and it is a costume contest. So please, if you have any colleagues or if you are under 40, please help support our YPADers. We're super excited for them. Hold on, sorry. Oh, just a shameless plug. We have our Delray Morning Live weekly on Wednesday mornings. You can tune in right on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Delray Beach. Amanda Perna and Ryan Boylston are our hosts. We've had some really actually, many of you have joined us on Delray Morning Live, and we appreciate that. So tune in, share the video that you've been in, or reach out to me if you would like to be on Delray Morning Live. And again, that's every Wednesday morning at 8:30. Continuing with our, I call it the Tuesday Lunch Club, but it's our Tuesday webinar series. So every Tuesday at 12:30, both via Zoom and Facebook Live, we have a free, yes, I said free, webinar for you. This week, 211 is partnering with us, and so Sharon LaRue will be talking about managing stress during stressful times, mental health tips and resources. So if you're not familiar with 211, she'll also give you all of the resources that they have to help you during this time. Our Economic Development and Government Affairs Friday Forum. I think I got it right. This is the first Friday of every month. I encourage all of you, it is via Zoom, to join us. You will hear an update from our community partners, the City of Delray Beach, the CRA, the DDA. Chris is usually on that call along with our police and fire chiefs. So if you want to get an update from your local municipality, that is the meeting to tune into. We also always have a guest speaker. So Karen Granger will be joining us. They just opened their Palm Beach location right here in Delray Beach for 4Kids, South Florida. So I'm super excited to hear from her and all of the wonderful things that they are doing at 4Kids. And Steph, I'm gonna let you talk about our virtual healthcare symposium. Again, free.
We're very excited about this one. You know, National Treasure Jeff Perlman is going to be our keynote speaker, and he's going to talk about his bout with COVID. It was very serious. So he's going to speak about that. We've got Bethesda, who is our sponsor for this. He recuperated at Bethesda, and they got him through it. He credits them with saving his life, and you'll hear all about that. We've got a lot of speakers. It'll be moderated by Dr. Craig Spodak, so he's very lively. It's going to be an excellent presentation, and it's going to be at 12:30 on November 10th. It's in place of our Lunch and Learn webinars, but it's much more of a symposium, so I definitely suggest that you sign up for that one. We're excited about that one.
And we have a really dynamic panel. I just want to give a big shout out: Bethesda Health, Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, Dr. G's Urgent Care, Healthier Delray Beach, and Inspired Living Delray Beach. So you kind of are going to get something from all aspects of the healthcare world. And we're
so Business and Bagels.
Excited. Keely's on
it's going to be in person. If Keely wants to chat about it. So Hyatt Place and Courtyard by Marriott have been our Business and Bagel sponsors, and we've been doing them via Zoom, but we've been dipping our toe in the water, like I said, with some in-person events. So we're gonna, November 19th, we'll have an in-person, safe, socially distanced Business and Bagels at Hyatt Place on November 19th. That's a Thursday at 8 a.m. So we're excited to see you in person.
Just a shameless plug for all of our programming that we are going to start rolling out in person. It will be RSVP required, so make sure that you get your spot so that we can maintain everyone's health and safety during our networking. And you can go to delraybeach.com.
Yeah, that enables us to check everybody in quickly. Yeah, you got to sign up for it. It enables us to check everybody in quickly, so there's no bunching up at the beginning. So we're taking your safety into consideration too. our legislative lunch. Last year we had an actor studio style legislative lunch. We talked to our representatives and senators that go to Tallahassee for us from our region, our area. Don't know who they'll be yet because they're going to probably be elected on November 3rd. So after that, we'll invite the representatives to come. It's always a Tuesday before Thanksgiving. They're always in town in their constituencies at that time. So we're going to do it at a loft. It's going to be a box lunch and socially distanced as well. They have enormous ballroom, so we'll have to limit the numbers, but there'll be plenty of space for people to spread out and to attend this really great Q&A session hosted. Michael Weiner is going to be the moderator of this as well, like he did last year. So again, you have to RSVP in advance, but that's Tuesday before Thanksgiving for the legislative lunch. And I wanted to give you guys a save the date for our Hometown Heroes Awards. So we do our business awards every year at our fundraiser, but this year we thought we would expand it a little bit and think about the people that have been our inspiration of the year. Who's the first responder of the year, educator of the year? We're opening it up to try to a medical professional of the year, obviously. We want to honor all of the people that have gotten us through the worst of this pandemic and our lockdowns. So that's going to be coming out in the near future. It's going to be virtual on December 9th, but then afterwards we'll have a Meet the Heroes happy hour at Sunday House. So that'll be quite limited in scope. So more information coming to that, and sign up quickly so you can come to the happy hour if you're interested. Tiff, is there anything else?
Yep, just save the date. We have planned out our calendar for next year, and we do have an annual partner for our tourism roundtable. So thank you to our friends at Hotels at Sea. I'm looking forward to learning more about them. Another fun fact about me is I worked on cruise ships for 5 years. So cruising is very near, and the whole hospitality industry is near and dear to my heart. So very excited. Please save the date for Tuesday, January 12th at 10 a.m. More details to come, but I just wanted that to be on everyone's radar. And again, I just want to say thank you to our friends at Effective, Discover, FAU, FRLA, and the City of Delray Beach. This was a fantastic panel discussion, so I really appreciate all of your time.
And thanks to everyone for joining us.
Thank you.